Hi everyone, and thanks for joining. Today I'm going to walk you through this hands-on lab available on QA platform, previously known as Cloud Academy, named Secure Your Cloud with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I'm going to read through the description of this lab, then start the lab. The security of your cloud environment should always be a leading concern. However, it can be challenging to stay on top of all resources and changes in your environment. Azure provides Microsoft Defender for Cloud, previously Azure Security Center, to help lighten the burden of securing your cloud environment. Take advantage of automatic security audits and recommendations to secure your cloud with Microsoft Defender for Cloud in this lab. You will mitigate security risks identified by Microsoft Defender for Cloud in a pre-created cloud environment. Lab objectives. Upon completion of this lab, you will be able to use Microsoft Defender for Cloud to identify the network, compute, storage, and application security risks in your Azure environment. Follow Microsoft Defender for Cloud's recommendations to mitigate risks and resolve several common security issues. Lab prerequisites. You should be familiar with basic Azure resources such as subnets, virtual machines, and network security groups. And lab environment. Before completing the lab instructions, the environment will look as follows. And after completing the lab instructions, the environment should look similar too. Let's start the lab now. As we see in the top right corner, we have 2 hours in this lab instance. The first step, as usual, explains that we'll be using a sandboxed Azure account, and I'll read through the first and last paragraph of this introduction step and proceed to step 2. The Microsoft Azure portal is a browser-based graphical user interface GUI to help you manage resources in Azure. Although there are other ways to manage resources in Azure, such as the Application Programming Interface API and Command Line Interface CLI, the portal is the simplest place to start. Blade. Portion of the page that pops up as you navigate in the portal. Note, a blade is contextual and tied to your navigation. This will become more intuitive as you use the portal. Opening a series of blades is called a journey. Hub, icon or category for navigation within the left Azure portal menu that is opened by selecting the upper left accordion icon. With a single click of the Start Lab button, Cloud Academy configures an environment in Azure, creating a hands-on learning experience without you having to sign up and create your own Azure account. The provided account is available until the lab is complete or the time runs out. I'll sift through this part, mentioning sandboxed accounts details, as seen in the left side panel. And let's read the summary. We have used the credentials generated by the Cloud Academy platform to log into the Microsoft Azure portal. The portal allows you to create, configure, and manage infrastructure in your Azure cloud. The environment and portal permissions provided for you by Cloud Academy are specific to the lab you started. For example, when simply starting a virtual machine VM, you may see many options in the portal, but not have the required privileges to use them, such as creating a SQL database. You were also introduced to a few of the most common portal terms: blade, commands, and hub. These terms are used in this lab and throughout the Azure portal documentation. And let's proceed to step 2, exploring Azure Security Center. Microsoft Defender for Cloud, previously Azure Security Center, allows you to understand the security state of your cloud resources, as well as your on-premises virtual machines via the Microsoft Monitoring Agent. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is included on all Azure subscriptions at the free service tier. Additional security features for active threat detection are included in the standard tier. Virtual machines and app services are the types of resources included in the free tier, while many more are available in the standard tier, including SQL databases and Azure Kubernetes services. Microsoft Defender for Cloud has over 150 rules built in. With Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you can understand the security state of all your Azure subscriptions, then find and fix vulnerable resources and configurations, then easily deploy and monitor security solutions from partners, then detect active threats early and respond fast, standard tier only, and lastly integrate with your existing security processes and tools. Microsoft Defender for Cloud will only reveal information about resources that a user has permission to access. This means that there is no risk of leaking security information to unauthorized users on your Azure subscription. To become familiar with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you will explore it using the Azure portal in this lab step. This lab focuses on the Microsoft Defender for Cloud capabilities in the free service tier included with all accounts. Warning: Microsoft Defender for Cloud is a passive service that gradually inspects the resources in your environment. It can take over 25 minutes for Microsoft Defender for Cloud to recognize the resources created in the lab environment. You may prefer to read through the lab steps first and then come back to perform them after Microsoft Defender for Cloud has had enough time to scan the lab environment. Instructions. In the search bar, type Microsoft Defender for Cloud and click Microsoft Defender for Cloud under Services. So I will read through each step, and after each step proceed to do that part hands-on. Instructions. In the search bar, type Microsoft Defender for Cloud and click Microsoft Defender for Cloud under Services. This takes you to the overview blade of Microsoft Defender for Cloud. On the overview blade, observe the following tiles: security posture, gain visibility into your subscription security state, and compliance. Microsoft Defender for Cloud continually assesses resources and subscriptions for security issues, providing a score that can provide visibility on the current security posture. Regulatory compliance summarizes the security state of monitored resources and displays them in context to a standard or regulation. Workload protections summarizes advanced threat detection security alerts when using advanced threat detection. By analyzing cloud network activity and using machine learning, advanced threat detection alerts you to attacks targeting your deployments. Advanced threat detection is included in the standard tier of Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Inventory, a single page for viewing all of your resources. Following the principle of least privilege, your lab account does not have permissions at the subscription level. It only has permissions within a resource group for this lab. This causes only a limited amount of details to be displayed in Microsoft Defender for Cloud. However, it is enough to demonstrate key concepts in Microsoft Defender for Cloud, particularly for resource security hygiene. For an explanation of what Azure roles grant what permissions in Microsoft Defender for Cloud, refer to this table. Let's check it out. For completeness, the following image is what you might see using an account in the subscription owner role. Click on Getting Started under the General Microsoft Defender for Cloud menu. Read through the features that are included in the standard tier of Microsoft Defender for Cloud to understand if you require them in your own subscriptions. You will cover the free tier capabilities of Microsoft Defender for Cloud in this lab. Click on the Security Solutions menu item under the Management section. Inspect the list of security solutions that can be integrated into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Integrating security solutions into Microsoft Defender for Cloud can enable you to detect more security issues that could not be detected in isolation. Several solutions are provided by Microsoft, but any security solution that supports the Common Event Format, CEF, can be integrated. Microsoft Defender for Cloud is enabled via the ASC default initiative in Azure Policy, which contains a myriad of security policies that are applied to the Azure tenant. Here are some policies that are part of the ASC default initiative. This definition is enabled and associated with a subscription via Microsoft Defender for Cloud, using the Environment Settings plate under the Management section. This area is only visible to administrators and users with sufficient security permissions. Users in either of the subscription owner or subscription contributor roles have permission to edit the security policy. Azure also provides the security administrator role, which allows editing of the security policy. Security administrators only have access to Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Description of several of the policies are available here. Summary. In this lab step, you explored Microsoft Defender for Cloud in the Azure portal. You gained a high-level understanding of how to use Microsoft Defender for Cloud and what Microsoft Defender for Cloud can do. In this lab step and until the end, we do not have any validation checks in place. Now let's proceed to do this part hands-on. Let's log into our Cloud Sandbox environment first. Now let's search for Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Under Services. Let's proceed to security solutions under management. Let's check out our view of environment settings under management. And let's proceed to the next step. Inspecting the insecure lab resources. To see how Microsoft Defender for Cloud works, the Cloud Academy Lab environment has provisioned several Azure resources. You will manually inspect the environment to see how several of the resources are configured. Try to identify any security issues along the way. In the next step, you can compare what you found with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. Instructions. In the search bar, type resource group and navigate to the only available resource group. The name will be in the format cal-multiple sharps, where multiple sharps represent a number unique to your lab session. The lab resources are displayed in the table of the rightmost plate. In the resource table, click on the storage account resource that has a name beginning with an acronym CALAB disk, shortened from Cloud Academy Lab Disk. In the storage account menu, click on Configuration under Settings. This should give you the following information. This account can be upgraded to a general purpose V2 account with additional features. The secure transfer required setting is relevant to this lab. It requires a secure HTTPS connection to be used for any storage account requests. HTTPS secures data in transit, meaning data that is transferred over the network. Click on the encryption blade under the Security plus Networking section further down the storage account menu. This should give you the following information. The encryption setting encrypts data at rest, meaning that data stored on a hard drive or other media is encrypted. All data in a storage account is encrypted by default using Microsoft managed keys. You also have the option to use your own customer managed keys. Go back to the resource group and return to its table of resources. Click on the network interface called CA-lab-VM001. This is the virtual machine's network interface card. Select the Effective Security Rules plate under the Help category of the Network Interfaces menu. This is where you can see the effective inbound and outbound network traffic rules for the network interface. These rules are assigned by associating a network interface with a network security group. observe that there is no network security group associated with the network interface. Click on the X in the upper right corner of the blade to return to the resource group table of resources. Select the virtual network called CA-lab-VNet in the resource list. Click on the subnets blade under the settings section. Observe that there is one subnet named default in the virtual network and that it does not have a network security group associated with it. The lab virtual machine and network interface are in the default subnet. Not having any network security group associated with the subnet or the network interface means the network interface is open to the internet. You can verify this by seeing that it is possible to connect to the VM using SSH. Summary: in this lab step, you reviewed the configuration of the lab provisioned resources. In particular, you looked at relevant security settings and understood the implications of each setting. You may also have identified what Microsoft Defender for Cloud should identify as a potential risk. These are the kinds of operations that Microsoft Defender for Cloud automatically performs, so you do not have to, as you will see in the next lab step. Now let's proceed to the hands-on part. So let's search for resource groups and navigate to the CAL one. And let's check out first the storage account. Verify secure transfer required option. But let's not change anything for now. Then let's proceed to configuration under settings. Then let's check out encryption blade under security plus networking section. And let's proceed to another resource. Network interface in this case, VM001. And let's select effective security rules. Blade under the help category. As mentioned, we see the notification that there are no associated NSGs or application security groups with the network interface CA Lab VM001. Let's proceed to the virtual network, CA Lab VNet, and subnets under settings section. Let's check out topology. Let's proceed to subnets under settings. We have the default one listed and no security groups. So that's all for this lab step. Let's proceed to the last lab step. Understanding Microsoft Defender for Cloud recommendations. In this lab step, you will learn about how Microsoft Defender for Cloud can be used to automatically identify security risks that are enabled in the default Microsoft Defender for Cloud security policy. This lab step will give an overview of the recommendations feature of Microsoft Defender for Cloud. By the end, you will appreciate the ease of letting Microsoft Defender for Cloud monitor your environment's security settings compared to the manual inspection you performed in the previous lab step. Instructions. In the Azure search bar, type Microsoft Defender for Cloud and click on Microsoft Defender for Cloud under Services. Click the Recommendations blade in the menu under the General section. Warning: due to the inconsistency of the Microsoft Defender for Cloud resource refresh rate, you may not see any recommendations. Here is what the recommendations page would look like. Click on the internet-facing virtual machines should be protected with network security groups. The following page appears after clicking on the recommendation. Reading through the description, you can understand that a network security group, NSG, helps protect a VM from potential threats and should be used to keep the machine as secure as possible. In this example, you can see the CA Lab VM has been identified and is listed in the resource section. Under Take Action, you understand more about the risk and how to remedy it. Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides easy-to-follow steps to remedy the risk and also provides you with instructions to manually remediating the issue. To remediate the issue, navigate to the identified resource by clicking its name. From the left menu, select Network Settings under Networking. Click Add Network Security Group. Click Refresh to confirm the network security group has been created. Return to the internet-facing virtual machines should be protected with network security groups, recommendation, and refresh the page to see status marked as completed. Note: it takes up to 24 hours for Microsoft Defender for Cloud recommendations to update. Some refresh more frequently than others. And recognize you have remediated the network security group. Note, you will not complete all the recommendations to make a resource 100% healthy and by extension your environment on Azure. However, the process would be similar to what you have seen before. Follow Microsoft Defender for Cloud's remediation steps or use the quick fix if it is available. Microsoft Defender for Cloud provides a convenient safety net that continues to expand over time, although it should not be treated as a complete security solution. You should treat Microsoft Defender for Cloud as just one layer of your defense in-depth strategy. If a recommendation does not apply to your environment, an administrator can disable individual recommendations in the Microsoft Defender for Cloud policy. Summary: in this lab step, you looked at Microsoft Defender for Cloud recommendations to identify and remedy security risks for an environment. Microsoft Defender for Cloud makes it easy to resolve issues, many with a single click. And that would be all for this lab regarding instructions. Let's proceed to the hands-on part. So let's search for Microsoft Defender for Cloud and click the recommendations blade in the general section. So we can see now, for example, inventory populated with a couple of resources. Let's proceed according to the lab instruction to recommendations under general. And to the finding titled Internet-facing virtual machines should be protected with network security groups. So at the moment it shows as unassigned status, and a resource in question is this CA Lab VM. And on the right side we have the recommendation on how to remediate, with a note that after the process completes, it may take up to 24 hours until your resources move to the Healthy Resources tab. And to remediate the issue, let's navigate to identify the resource by clicking its name, then add the network security group. From networking, then network settings. Let's see Microsoft Defender for Cloud's recommendations now, though we expect it could take up to 24 hours for the findings list status to update. it is still showing as unassigned. So let's check out the network topology now. We see network security group listed, and in the virtual network topology, and in the topology we see the network security group as connected. What does advisor show? No recommendations at the moment. So that would be all for this lab. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this one. Until next video, bye for now.